Hi, my name is Christian Lafferty. Most of you may know me as Infinite Ursa. Twitch streamer extraordinaire. Whole 2 viewers every time I stream, right guys? No, I'm just playing around. I love my viewers. There's more than just 2 of you. But yeah, recently I have decided that I want to create a higher purpose for the channel. One that actually impacts the world, right? Because that's the human psyche. We're always trying to create a higher purpose out of everything that we do, even though most of us don't actually do jack for our entire lives. But I would like to start raising awareness towards mental health issues. Here in the US, there is a huge divide in people. There is 50% of the population that thinks that mental health is made up and that everyone should ignore the mental health and work their lives away, and stop about everything and just get it done, right? And then there's the other 50% of us where we would love to do that. We would love to just get off our ass, get it done, make a bunch of money, and retire on time, right? That's the American dream, baby. It's the American dream. But it's just not that simple, right? And for those of you that also have what I'm speaking about, any type of mental health issues, you know what I'm saying, and you know how agreeable it is, because there's something in the back of our minds that keeps us from ultimately success, and it takes a mountain of courage in order to get over it. Even something as simple as just getting out of bed every day, right? At the same time, getting up out of bed before noon. That's personally what my accomplishment is right now, or the one that I'm working on at the current moment. For those of you that don't know, I've been out of work for about 3 weeks. It is the latter half of 2021. The COVID epidemic is still a huge problem right now. Finding a job that will pay me a living wage has been nigh impossible. I can't find anything. And every time I do, it falls through. So in the words of Bo Burnham, I made you some content. Daddy made you your favorite open wide. Yes, I made you some content. All right, that's fucking enough of the G Fuel from now on. So, some of you are probably saying I'm doing this in order to make money, in which case my response is, who told you to fucking snitch? Sorry, lost my cool. But no. I mean, ultimately, yeah, it's to make money. I'm putting it on YouTube. It's content. I'm trying to make money off of YouTube and Twitch because I love doing this. I hate working a regular 9 to 5, but when I get on here, for some reason, I feel motivated to stream or make content for you guys, and that's rough because I know the slim chances I have of actually making it on the platform. But I've still got that human quality, in which case I'm hoping that a sliver of hope is going to turn into this whole big massive adventure, right? Where, you know, you get your dream home and the dream girl and you live your life and you're happy because you've got all this money, right? I mean, we all know how hollow that sounds, but I'm just trying to make a point, and I'm guessing that you picked up on it. If not, the point of these videos isn't to make money. It's an ulterior motive, but not the main one. The main one is that I want to start raising awareness towards mental health because it's something that needs to be addressed. And I'm tired of people acting as though it's as simple as just getting over it. It's not like one day you can just wake up and be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna choose not to have my issues today. It doesn't work like that. Because there's a lot of days where I wish I could just set my problems aside and just do it, you know? Just fucking do it. But it just doesn't work like that. And yeah, I'm just here Haven't showered, brushed my teeth today yet, at least. Didn't roll out of bed until 1:30 p.m. I want this to be the intro because I want everybody to know what it looks like to struggle with things in your mind. I would first like to clear the air by helping everyone to understand what a pathological liar is. As described by medicine.net, I'm sure they're perfectly legit. A pathological liar is a person that lies incessantly, not to be confused with incestually. Two different things. Haha, see what I did there, guys? I made a joke about incest. Haha, so funny. To get their way, and does so with little awareness. They have little regards or respect for rights and feelings of others. They often have no conscience or feelings of guilt. They base their lives around deceit and may deeply hurt their victims without caring. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, I was born to a mother who was a psychopathic and irresponsible pathological liar. My father was a lackadaisical and irresponsible pathological liar. All throughout my childhood, my parents would nonstop fight. They started problems with anyone, even themselves, over the smallest of acts. There were many times that my parents would have a legitimate brawl between the two of them. Our home was full of screaming, fists, children sobbing, and holes in walls. One of my mother's most infamous traits was her affinity for getting high off of prescription drugs. There were a lot of times my mother would spend her free time getting, as my father liked to call it, zonked out on drugs that doctors prescribed for her. But in her mind, it is legal, therefore it is morally justified to do. Now, my father would have been just as bad as my mother, but the reason he wasn't was because he was rarely ever present. When he was present, he was never mentally present. There are a few times that I remember actually hanging out and playing with my father. Only a few times, and he was rarely ever a pleasant person. There's one time when I was about 8 or 9 where he rage quit while we were playing Xbox together. The reason he rage quit was because I wasn't playing well enough. We were playing a completely cooperative zombie survival game. We failed because I couldn't keep up. I was a kid. I had no clue what the fuck I was doing. Threw his controller and told me that I wasn't allowed to play anymore. A grown man had a temper tantrum about his 8-year-old kid not being able to play a game well enough with him to actually enjoy it. Interacting with my father was a lot like interacting with a 10-year-old kid who is just trying too hard to be cool. My father's issues seemed to stem from his parents. His father was emotionally neglectful and then emotionally abusive when he started paying attention. His mother had coddled him all the way up until his 40s. He also came forward in his mid-40s about being sexually abused. He said it was some of his neighbors that his parents had hired to babysit him and his sister. By the time this information came forward, it was already too late. I mean, my father was in his mid-40s and he had ultimately pushed everyone away so far that, I mean, people felt bad, you know? Nobody was there for him. He had ultimately pushed everyone out of his life at this point. Now that I've introduced our main antagonists in the series, allow me to share a little insider with you. I included a brief summary of the trauma they caused to kind of paint this picture of my villains and what I perceived as a child. I also included a brief synopsis of their childhood trauma because while I was the victim of their abuse, they were the victim of someone else's abuse. This ultimately makes me the victim of their abusers. This ultimately makes me the alternative victim of whoever f***ed them up. I'm gonna be honest, this is my story, this is my memoir, but the purpose of this story is to raise awareness towards everyone's story. Not just mine, not just my mother's, not just my father's, everyone's. I think the mental health crisis is something that needs to be talked about and needs to start getting recognized. Otherwise, us as a civilization, as a species, are not going to progress any further than what we have, because we're all just at the point where we're making problems with each other constantly. And I think the only way to start overcoming those problems is to start understanding each other rather than, starting problems with each other. One of the ways that we can do that is actually to start understanding and acknowledging the mental abuse that comes along with the many cultures of the world. Here in America, I'm not sure what it's like everywhere else, but here in America, we tend to push down psychological problems and act as though they're not real problems until schools start getting shot up, bombs start getting planted, serial killers are born. The list goes on and on and on about all these f***ed up issues, and people are just saying, what the fuck was wrong with that person? And my response is, what was wrong with that person? What happened? Right? Not in the sense of, I'm just going to say, well, that person was really f***ed up and then move on from it. What actually happened? What was the story there? Like, what led them to that? It was perfectly what society deems as perfectly normal people that ultimately f***ed up that person and led them to committing that act of violence, of sadisticness. But back to the point at hand. Although my parents were god-awful, shitty f***ing people all around, they deserve recognition in this just as much as any other victim. I am f***ing angry with the things that happened to me as a child. But my parents are still people. I'm not an embodiment of anger. I am Christian Lafferty, and this is my story. Fucking microphone was off. Before I go, I would like to do one very huge shout out. The inspiration for this whole series that I'm coming up with is actually... Inspiration came from a man by the name of Bo Burnham, otherwise known as Bo Burnham. Robert, I don't know what you like to be called. Sorry, I've never had a personal conversation with you. If you're out there and you hear this, or you're listening, you're not the only one that feels like you do. I'm sorry for what you've gone through. Your problems may not be the same problems as mine, but you've still done quite a bit to inspire me. You may not have exactly healed the world through comedy, but I think with a little bit of coaxing and some brand recognition, you or we or I could really get the ball rolling on this whole thing. And by this whole thing, I mean solving the mental health crisis. Because neither one of me nor you, the only ones that feel the way that we do. So yeah, it's time to start making a change. Even if it's something as small as just opening your mouth and talking. Not you. I didn't mean that directed towards you. I meant that, like, me? Me. I'm talking about me, because I'm the one talking.